Well, greetings, cinema fans. The summer movie season's continuing to roll right along for our next release, which is The Amazing Spider Man, as opposed to Spider Man. Yes, the Sony reboot of the Spider Man franchise with only, it's been like, how many years? Only a couple of years, like less than 5. And they've already rebooted instead of continuing on with the franchise. I kind of really, to begin with, disagreed with them going in this direction of rebooting the franchise. Not because I didn't think they make a good film, I just felt it was unnecessary and to kind of retread over the same ground, even though they retread over it a little differently, and I think they do make some significant improvements over the story arc. But I always was of the opinion that, okay, Tobey Maguire doesn't want to continue, you're getting a different director. That doesn't mean you have to abandon the film or that set storyline. You can continue. Look at the James Bond series as a perfect example. But that's not how it went. Oh well. And to this movie's credit, I think, in my personal opinion, I like this story a little bit better than Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, and for a couple of reasons. I think in the original Spider-Man, they did cram a lot of the Spider-Man mythos into that one movie. They really seem to they're very confident now that they're going to have a franchise to work with this series, and they seem to be taking advantage of that. So they really let time for the characters to develop, and to take a little bit more time for Spider-Man to get up to becoming, of course, Spider-Man. In that, and I not just as in him wearing the outfit, because I do hate superhero movies where you don't see them in their iconic outfit until like the last scene in the movie, or the third act. No, they do skip around to that. But Spider-Man's arc of becoming an actual hero is really well explored in this one, much so than in the previous movie. The original Spider-Man, he kind of gets his powers, and in like one night he tracks down the villain, or the guy that mugged his uncle, and he kind of right from that really starts becoming the hero almost immediately, going and helping people. In this one, it's much more clear how Spider-Man develops, or at least how Peter Parker transitions to become a true hero. He starts off really as he's out for revenge. He spends most of this movie as he's kind of hunting down. He's trying to find the guy that shot his uncle. Now, they'd make some changes from the original comic, and I think in order for plot convenience and for, I think, to make it connect a little bit better. They had like the wrestling thing in the first one, which I believe is kind of how he came up with the outfit and everything in the original comics. However, the wrestling thing I don't think melds as well. I mean, they still have a nod to it on how he figures out he's gonna need a costume. But after he gets his powers and his uncle's killed, oh yeah, spoiler there. He really spends a good chunk of the movie, and how he starts to develop his crime fighting is he's going out and trying to find the particular mugger that shot his uncle. He's got a particular tattoo, so he's really is out for revenge, and that's how he kind of falls into the crime fighting thing. And even at one point, Dennis Leary's character points out this, because I think this scene is somewhat shown in some of the trailers, and I think it was released on the internet too, for promotional purposes, where he is kind of debating with Dennis Leary's character, who's trying to hunt down Spider-Man, and he's trying to argue that Spider-Man's here, and Dennis Leary's character kind of points out, hey, Spider-Man he's not a hero. He's, they really did a good point of kind of with the entire comic book things. They're getting the low. He's messing up them surveilling the low level criminals, so they can't find the chop shops and other things that these low level guys are selling to. So they're not helping the overall criminal getting rid of crime, since all the bigwigs, the people that enable crime, don't get caught, because the people that enable it are not out there mugging people on the streets, are not out there stealing cars, which is a really, really good point. and maybe it kind of points to why superheroing is really not effective. You need to actually investigate crime to understand its entirety. I'd love it if they even point out, half the guys that he turns in we have to let loose because we can't prosecute them. You just can't deliver them wrapped up and allow us to prosecute. They didn't go into that, but that was one thing he pointed out. He also points out, hey, Spider-Man's running around beating up criminals, but they're all fitting the same exact physical profile. He's going out for revenge. He's looking for someone in particular. He's not going out to become a hero and help people. He's going out for personal reasons. Very good point. And that's kind of the arc that Spider-Man has to go to, where he goes from looking for personal revenge to realizing he truly has to be a hero and do things to actually save other people, to protect people. There's a difference between having to fight bad guys but for your own personal reasons and going out and truly helping people. There's a big difference between those two concepts. So it's a much more mature theme, I think, than they took in What It Meant to Be a Hero in the first one. They really kind of examined it a little bit more and what it really means. It's not just going out and beating up criminals, because you can go out and do that, but for completely selfish reasons, and that does not make you a hero. Which is a really good underlying theme. I like it that the villain himself isn't. They make Dr. Connors very sympathetic, and even at the end, I won't give it away, but let's just say he kind of redeems himself a bit, which is, I think, a very good turn, especially with Connors. Connors is always supposed to be a sympathetic villain, the Lizard. Where he just doesn't get in. When he becomes a Lizard, he really gets kind of not in the right place. I think they should have played that up a little bit more, that he was really debating with himself. At one point, they kind of actually have him debating with himself a bit, but I think they should have made it a little bit more that he was really kind of conflicted, and it was when the Lizard took over that he came into this rage type thing. I think they probably shied away from that because it was a little bit too much like Norman Osborn, who they give nods to in this one, but we don't see. Which I suppose is a good way to play it. One, it enables you to kind of cast a bigger player to play him later on in the series. Let's just hope he doesn't turn out to be like the Mandarin in Iron Man 3. Let's see here. This is what else to talk about. Oh, of course, the casting. The one thing that really did drag this thing down, I think, was Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy's. It's not necessarily their romance. It's the dialogue the actors were given was pretty atrocious. A lot of their lines were just that awkward, like, oh, hey, that we should do that thing. Oh, yeah, I want to say, like, right now you probably just thought I was trying to come up with something. No, that's pretty much how they talk for pretty much all the scenes that they're together. It is one thing to have that kind of first scene where Peter Parker is awkward and Stacy's kind of going her awkward, countering that awkward with a little bit of her own awkwardness. But when it's like your fourth scene together and you're still doing those dialogues, it gets like, really? Somebody wrote these lines. Like, somebody was actually taking their time, typed it, relaxed for an hour, came back, proofread that line, and went, yep, that's staying in. Really? Really? That's really the only time where the movie really seems to drag out a bit, is their awkwardness. But to their credit, I do like that they, at least with the Gwen Stacy thing, she kind of knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man like halfway through the movie. They don't save that as like an end reveal, which is impressive. And that also helps with the drama because they position Dennis Leary as her father that's trying to track down Spider-Man. He seems to have a little bit of a weird obsession. They took the Jenna Jameson. He's like the Jenna Jameson's character in this one. I think I mispronounced that character's name, but he's kind of the substitute, and you don't understand as much why. Like, even when the Lizard is running around New York, is obviously the bigger threat, is even getting reports that he's throwing like biological grenades and causing bio attacks, Leary is still concentrating on the fucking Spider-Man. At this point, you might as well, he only attributes him as being a vigilante. At this point, he is not a problem. Bigger problem is the giant fucking Lizard throwing biological weapons around. But he does redeem himself, because Dennis Leary does get one of probably the most badass scene I've seen in any Spider-Man movie. He's got a fucking shotgun and is just wailing away on the Lizard. Oh, I was actually kind of hoping... okay, we're getting into spoiler territory. I think you can kind of tell I did enjoy this film, but from this point on, spoiler alert. Yeah, they killed him. Oh, the Lizard killed him, which is kind of sad because before there wasn't any real deaths with the Lizard, which kind of makes at least Connor respectable since he survived and is imprisoned. Because the guys he converted turned back. So him killing off Captain Stacy did put a little bit of a downer. What I thought they were going to go with, since they're kind of playing around with their own little nods to the canon, was maybe because he knows that's how in the future movies Spider-Man hasn't really been coordinated and arrested, because it can't be that hard to track down Spider-Man in this modern era when the police, let's face it, real New York cops have a very effective air arm. And, as this franchise progresses and technology progresses, I'm sure within the next few years they're going to have a drone fleet too. So it's kind of like, tracking guys swinging around on the rooftops of Manhattan should actually be incredibly easy to track. So I would have thought that keeping him around as kind of him subtly kind of throwing people off the scent of Peter Parker would have actually worked. I think it's an explanation that's needed in the modern superhero film. Actually, most modern superheroes really don't have a secret identity. Spider-Man's one of the key ones where it's like him and Batman need to keep a secret identity. Everyone else, it really doesn't matter and doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But it's for those two, it's so ingrained into their character that they're having this double life and they have to hide it from everyone else, that you really can't help but have that element to the story. Everyone else, really, you don't need it. You can get rid of it. What else to say? I did like Martin Sheen's performance, and I guess now, since Martin Sheen is his uncle, I guess this somewhat follows the Ultimate universe, in that now Spider-Man, I guess, is part Latino. Yeah, I know. Bad joke. Really bad joke. Those of you who don't know, they made Spider-Man, I think it was like half Filipino, half Puerto Rican kid. And fans are not happy. I don't know. I don't follow it. I don't follow comic books anymore. Let's see. Anything else? There is a bit of a spoiler at the end. Not a spoiler, but a film at the end, or a scene at the end, in what I used to call these end of credit scenes, but now they're like middle credit scenes, where they're like, we want to put this at the end as a tidbit, but apparently a lot of people don't want to wait an extra 3 minutes to sit through credits to see this, so we're going to put it after the main set of credits. I don't get that. Put it at the end. Make the audience earn it. Let's see, anything else? There's, of course, more stuff I could talk about, but I think I hit on all the major points. This is still a pretty enjoyable film. The performances were alright. I kind of enjoyed the progress this character had over the Raimi ones. They seem to make a little bit more sense. I think Raimi stuck a little bit more to the 60s in style and tone and in storytelling, especially, not with style and tone, but with characterization. They stuck to the 60s more. And I think this one is much more modern in that regards, and therefore it is more relatable. Because let's face it, a lot of 60s did not have the greatest character development as much as we want to praise it, at least in the comic book realms. So in that regard, I think this was an improvement. But, you guys tell me what you think. Did you enjoy the film? Did you prefer the Raimi one? I'm sure this is going to be the debate people will have for a very long time. It'll be interesting to see where they go from here. Signing off for now, and happy 4th of July for everyone in the States. Hasta luego.